Hey everyone, Cooper here, host of the fine podcast you're listening to. I just want to let you know that the episode you clicked on has a format that is very heavily inspired by a podcast called The Bookening. To be clear, our thoughts and opinions in this episode are our own, but the format is very similar to this podcast. I just wanted to give you a heads up and give credit where it is due. With that out of the way, enjoy the show. Coming up next, Gandalf versus Dumbledore. Dawn of Justice. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Booking It. So glad that you have joined us. I am your humble and eloquent host, Mr. Cooper Cobbs, and today we are celebrating here on the podcast our 100th episode. And so let me introduce our fine panelists who will be celebrating this monumental occasion with us. First, we have Mr. Isaiah Retsky. How you doing, sir?
Hello. I'm pretty good.
Good. All right. Then we have Tanner Lewis, of course.
Howdy, folks.
And of course, joining us for this spectacular event and debate, the magnanimous Mr. Matthew Killingsworth.
Howdy.
Well, folks, it is a pleasure to come to you today because I think that what's happening today is long overdue. A debate between these two sides. So before we get there, though, this is how this episode's going to work. In a moment, we'll get to the debate. I'll explain the format in just a second. And then after the debate, we'll do some more celebrating, looking back with fondness upon the entire history of the podcast thus far, and looking ahead to the future with hope. So, I guess the debate. So here's how it's going to work, guys. I've explained this to you in a text message, but I'll go ahead and say it here again. One of us, so I'll read this statement.
I didn't read that.
Okay, well, okay, good. Well, I'm glad I'm clarifying here, too. I'm going to read the statement that is going to be debated. So the statement is, Gandalf is better than Dumbledore at being a wise wizard. So me and Tanner will be arguing for the affirmative, and Isaiah and Matthew will be saying, no, that's not true. They'll be arguing for Dumbledore, and me and Tanner will be arguing for Gandalf. Clear so far?
Wait, what is the resolution?
Wait,
So
wise
it's-
wizard? I thought we were just saying Gandalf is better than Dumbledore.
We need some specificity, though, don't we?
Yeah, but wise wizard is different.
Is it, though? You can interpret it however you want.
I don't think that the only thing that contributes to betterness is wisdom.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was
Okay.
going
Well,
more with,
whatever.
like, power.
That's up for debate.
Yeah, it's up for debate. Okay, well, we can just leave it as
Okay,
Gandalf is
so
better than
update
Dumbledore.
listeners. We're actually going to be debating over whether wisdom equals betterness.
Yeah, it's true. Hey, stay tuned. Okay, sure. We can just do Gandalf is better than Dumbledore. Me and Tanner will say he is. You guys can say no, Dumbledore is. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So the format's going to be this. One person on each team is going to deliver a 3-minute opening statement or just opening discussion. You don't have to use all of that if you don't want to. So both sides will do that. Then another person will come up and deliver a 5-minute rebuttal, so they'll respond to this statement and then reinforce their own arguments. And then the person who gave the opening will come up and just give a 2-minute closing. That makes sense?
Okay.
Okay. So, who Isaiah, Matthew, who's doing the opening statement for you guys?
Dog, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I agree with what Isaiah said earlier about, like, let's just argue about it.
Yeah, I don't know why we're doing, like, an actual formatted debate.
Like, I
bro,
didn't prepare
I stopped
for this.
with
Like,
that a while ago.
I want Cooper to make a statement, and I want to disagree with it. And
Exactly.
I'm gonna
That's
tell
what I
you
was
why I
thinking.
disagree.
Okay, well, I'll go
didn't know we were
first.
doing
I'll
this
do the.
until, like, an
I'll
hour
do the.
ago.
Okay, look. Here's it. I'll do the opening statement. I'll just say stuff. I have a little bit prepared. It's okay.
Of course you do.
Matthew, you can just say that's all crap and say whatever you want to say.
Exactly.
And then Tanner will come up, and then Isaiah will come up, and then Matthew and I will kind of do a final thing.
Or
So you-
me
you-
and
look-
Matthew could just kind of, like, work together instead of taking turns.
Because
Like, we could all
Isaiah
just-
just wants to ride on Matthew and take shots behind Matthew's back. Is that what-
Hey, that's okay. That's because he knows I'm right.
Yeah, exactly.
Look,
Hey, if you guys
Go ahead.
want, let's just do that, but let's just make sure, like, one person talking at a time, no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
like, just
I don't
say
think
what
we
you
have to have a
gotta say.
debate. I'll just give you time for you to talk, and you can use that time how you will.
Okay, I want you to start then.
Yeah, either way, I'll start
I'll
off. I
respond.
have something prepared. I'll just give what I have prepared, and then you guys can respond. Okay, we'll just and we'll give you. We won't even structure it. We'll just say, okay, that's my statement. You guys can respond, whoever you want to respond,
Good.
and then Tanner will come up, and he can have his turn.
Sounds pretty structured to me, but yeah, let's go.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, as a wise wizard, and I won't say which one, once said, all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And today, I've been given a certain amount of time to decide what to do with. And this time, I'm going to decide to affirm the statement that Gandalf is better than Dumbledore. So first, we have to understand kind of what standard are we using for Gandalf being better than Dumbledore or vice versa. So I argue that the standard should be basically which one is wise, which one is better at being a mentor, and which one is being better at being a leader. Now, the negative side might come up and say, well, we're talking about which is more powerful. However, we can discuss and debate that. I think Tanner has a pretty compelling argument that he'll make next that Gandalf is actually more powerful than Dumbledore. I think ultimately, being wise, being a better mentor, and being a better leader is not only what each character was actually designed to be. Each character is designed to be a mentor, a wise leader. But also, I think that that's actually more powerful because it's who they control, who they lead, and who they mentor that actually ends up determining the course of the narrative. So that's the standard I propose. Which one is wise? Which one is the better mentor? Which one is the better leader? So I have a couple of things to say. Well, I believe that, me and Tanner believe that Gandalf is actually better at fulfilling those principles than Dumbledore is. So first, my first contention, if you want to write it down if you're taking notes, I don't know if you are, Matthew's not, but my first contention is that Gandalf is a better mentor because he disciplines. So my first piece of evidence here, and I actually have a bookmarked, is actually Pippin from The Lord of the Rings. He does something stupid. He pushes a skeleton down a well and actually alerts the enemy to their presence. And this is what Gandalf says. "Fool of a took," he growled. "This is a serious journey, not a hobbit walking party. Throw yourself in next time, and then you'll be no further nuisance. Now be quiet." So actually, he ends up disciplining him. He does something stupid, Pippin does something stupid, and he disciplines him. And actually later in the Two Towers, Gandalf does something similar as well. Pippin does another thing that's stupid, and Gandalf corrects him. Another moment like this is actually at the beginning, when Bilbo is refusing to give up the ring, and Gandalf has to kind of be harsh with him. He says, "You will be a fool if you do," meaning leave behind the ring, Bilbo, he said. "You make that much clearer with every word you say." "It will be my turn to get angry soon," he said. "Then you will see Gandalf the Grey uncloaked." But then later he says, "I am not trying to rob you, but to help you. I wish you would trust me as you used." So he's not being harsh, he's just, all the time, he's being harsh when necessary and disciplining when necessary, and also being encouraging as well. He tells Frodo at the end of the second chapter, "Hobbit, surprise me, I'm so proud of you, Frodo." But what does Dumbledore do? Well, he doesn't punish or discipline Harry when he needs to. At the end of Book 5, Harry's done something incredibly stupid. He's just gotten his godfather killed, he's gotten a lot of people injured, he did a really dumb thing, and he explicitly disobeyed Dumbledore's instructions, and the people who Dumbledore had placed over Harry, those instructions as well. And what does Dumbledore do when Harry has done all these things? He says, "It's my fault that Sirius died." That's a direct quote. "It's my fault that Sirius died. If I had been open with you, Harry, as I should have been, you'd have known a long time ago that Voldemort might try and lure you, and Sirius would not have had to come after you. That blame lies with me and me alone." No, it doesn't. Harry literally disobeyed you. You told him not to do anything, and he did something stupid. That's a moment where discipline should have been had and did not happen. Now, my second contention is that Gandalf is a better mentor because he leads better. Firstly, sacrifice. Dumbledore dies because he did something stupid. He put on a ring that was obviously cursed, and he dies eventually after spoiler alert. But anyway, I should have put a spoiler tab at the beginning of this. But Gandalf dies because he sacrifices himself. He's a better mentor. He shows the people who he is mentoring and leading what it's like to be a leader. He sacrifices himself defeating evil, which is something that Dumbledore can't claim. Next, the Hobbit. He leads the Hobbit and the company of the Hobbit very well. He is strict when he needs to be encouraging, and he guides them with wise wisdom. In the Fellowship of the Ring, he leads the company well. He instructs Frodo. He gives him wise counsel. And when he dies and sacrifices himself, Frodo has the information he needs to take over and lead wisely. But Dumbledore literally does nothing for Harry. As he said here in the quote I just read, "I didn't tell you a lot." And guess what? When he dies, Harry basically doesn't know a ton. He doesn't know enough. He has to figure out all on his own, where actually Frodo knew enough and knew what to do and had been guided in a wise manner. So I think Gandalf is a better mentor because he obviously leads better. But then finally, Gandalf is just a better character. Now, I know we're trying to pretend these people are real, and it's fun, but also, they're characters in a story, and Gandalf is a better character. I guarantee you that most people would rather have their kids in Gandalf's company than Dumbledore's company. He's a better mentor because he's wise, he instructs wisely, and Dumbledore lets things happen, doesn't discipline when necessary. He's obviously just a bad mentor. And ultimately, Gandalf, as well as being a better character, says like more quotable things. The quote I opened with, sorry, it's actually from Gandalf. I wasn't going to say it, but it's from Gandalf. He also says, pity stayed his hand, do not be too eager to deal out death in judgment, things like that, actually really quotable things. And Dumbledore's number one quote is alas, earwax. Like, that's the kind of things that people quote Dumbledore for. Whereas Gandalf has actual wise things to say. I will not say do not weep, for not all tears are evil. And he's better because he's a wiser character, and because Tolkien is wiser than J.K. Rowling. Tolkien wrote a character who he knew how to write because Tolkien was wise, and Rowling did not because she was not wise. So ultimately, we can see that Gandalf is a better mentor, is better than Dumbledore because he's a better character, he leads better, and he also disciplines wisely. So that's my statement. So I guess Isaiah and Matthew, I'll kick it over to you guys. You can respond.
Wow, nice 10-minute unprepared statement, Cooper.
Yeah, thanks.
I would just actually like to respond with my contentions. No, I'm just kidding. I don't got that crap. I'm just going to go through one by one about all the crap that Cooper said and point out why it's crap. So first of all, your first thing you started with and all your contentions were about mentorship, leadership, and wisdom. And you are claiming that those alone make for a better person. I would like to bring into the argument that we're not arguing over a better person. We're arguing about a better character. Because like you mentioned, these are not real people. These are characters in a book. And there's lots of things that separate a good person from a good character. Because sometimes the best person as a character in a book is not the best character in that book.
Fair.
Because you're not feeling for them the most. Like, we're not the best people. All of us are sinful, and we feel with people who have ups and downs and are relatable characters. So perfection, or being not perfection, but being close to perfection, or being the best at certain things like mentorship, leadership, or wisdom, don't necessarily make for the best character, I would argue, because it's not the most relatable. And there's other things that I would like to bring in to the argument as well, like, what about power? Like, because part of these characters in this story, both of these stories, and every story for Marvel movies, for example, and stuff like that, superheroes, comics, you're putting yourself in the character shoes and pretending you're this character, or imagining what it'd be like to be this character, or be around this character, or be in the same world as this character. And just power does play effect in our heads about how we think about different characters when it comes across, like when we're thinking about it. And Dumbledore is undeniably more powerful than Gandalf, because Gandalf uses magic like twice in the whole book, and Dumbledore uses magic all the time. And like, if they had a fight, Dumbledore would just use Avada Kedavra, and like Gandalf couldn't do anything, respectfully. And I'm keeping it respectful for now. And
for now.
So there's power. Okay. There's relatability. There is likableness of the character. There's humor. There's more things than just strict discipline, because strict discipline, when it comes to you being in the military and needing to be trained on how to survive and how to do your job well, yeah, that's an appropriate place for strict discipline. If it's a book that you're reading and you're reading about other characters interacting with each other, you're reading that book for entertainment or for escapism. You're not reading that book to hear others be disciplined. I think that discipline is a great thing for a lot of things. It's even a great thing to the smallest level of working at a fast food job. Like, I had discipline when I was a trainee, and that enabled me to grow and to be a leader. And then I had to discipline others, and it's a whole system of discipline. But that's still talking about a professional job. And even still, we all made jokes as leaders with our, subordinates and that kind of stuff. It was no like strictly serious, I'm only going to be your mentor discipline type of thing. And people just enjoy a little bit of humor, a little bit of lightheartedness, because it relieves stress. And we're all people, and we're all dealing with the same stress, maybe not caused from the same things, but we're all dealing with stress. And it's just also helpful to have humor and relieve it. And so quotes like alas, earwax, and all the goofy stuff that Dumbledore says, it shows the guy has a sense of humor. He's not just all business all the time. I mean, he is in his own head, and he's working hard, but he's not stressing other people out and not giving them any kind of a break. Okay, now to respond, that was discipline, I guess, keeping people in line when necessary. Your second one was about how on the night that Sirius died, Harry came back feeling terrible, and was talking to Dumbledore, and Dumbledore admitted it was his fault. And Cooper is trying to twist this into a Dumbledore is taking the blame from Harry. When Dumbledore, who is infinitely wiser than Harry, and I think all of us can admit that Dumbledore is smarter and wiser than Harry, he's the one who's admitting, I knew this whole situation the whole time. I told you only a tiny part of it, and this is what led you to do these actions. Yes, it was Harry's choice to do these actions.
Which, by the way, still speaks badly of Dumbledore.
'Tis true.
Yes, but I'm getting there. And Dumbledore is admitting his own failures, and you can't use someone who makes a mistake as a relatable person, because people make mistakes. You can't take someone who makes a mistake and use that mistake as his downfall for your whole argument, because we all do it, and that makes him a relatable character. That makes him a likable character, because not only did he make a mistake, but he didn't want other people to feel the pain of his mistake. He didn't want other people to feel the blame of his mistake, and that's why he had that whole conversation with Harry, taking the blame, because he knew the whole picture. He told Harry a tiny part of it, and from the part that he told Harry, Harry made the right decision, because that's all he knew. And Dumbledore's admitting, you made the wrong decision, but it's not your fault, because you made it off of the information that I gave you, and I didn't give you enough,
Hold up.
and so it's my fault.
I don't think that Harry made the right decision. Like even if I give you Dumbledore knew, didn't tell Harry, he still instructed Harry not to trust the visions that he was getting, not to do anything stupid. He also placed people in authority over Harry, like Snape, who explicitly told him not to leave, not to do anything stupid, and he disobeyed all of them. So I think he still made the wrong decision. But I guess it's a sidebar.
Don't worry, I can work on that in my rebuttal
All right.
momentarily.
Anything else to say, Matthew or Isaiah?
Yeah, I have two more.
Okay.
I'm responding to all your stupid
No, you are.
points, so I gotta respond with my own stupid
I'm not
points.
laughing.
You gave the example of how Gandalf dies to save the world, and Dumbledore died because of a ring. Yeah, I guess that's true, in that they both add value to the plot, because if Dumbledore just never died, or Dumbledore was the one who died, then it wouldn't really make Harry the main character.
Very quickly, you just said Dumbledore died because of a ring. What? Huh?
He did.
Yeah, Dumbledore put on that ring at the beginning of the sixth one,
right, my bad.
and it started corrupting his hand, and then it started spreading and making him sick. And
Technically, it's
really,
not how he died.
he didn't die because of the ring,
Yeah.
because Snape killed him, but he would
He
have
was
died
memorable.
anyway.
Yeah.
It was he actually,
okay, my
for
bad.
those of you who didn't know, Dumbledore actually asked Snape to kill him because he knew he was about to die anyway, and so it just made the whole situation better, kind of thing. So you could argue that Dumbledore actually did sacrifice his life to put Snape in a better position to be entrusted with Voldemort.
also
But I
the
won't
other
make that
one.
argument because I know you're gonna think it's invalid.
I actually think all the stuff you're saying is invalid. That's okay.
Really? Okay. Well, anyways, you are saying that Gandalf died for a better purpose, and Dumbledore died for a stupid reason. And I won't disagree with you there. But we're talking about characters and not people. And
Okay.
for what they both contributed to the story, Dumbledore's was just as worthy for a good story as Gandalf's was.
All right. So
Because it served its purpose well. Because Gandalf, I don't know who's really the main character of whatever Lord of the Rings crap. 'Cause
Frodo,
yeah, something
Sam,
like that.
Aragorn.
But then why didn't he die? Like,
he kind of sacrificed you. You've read it.
uh-huh.
Okay, wait, Matthew, go fast. I wanna before Tanner jumps in, I wanna ask you a question. An argument I made was that Gandalf was a better leader. He set Frodo up for success, and that he did not set Harry up for success in defeating their respective Dark Lords. What do you say to that argument before Tanner jumps in?
No, I disagree with that. I think that Dumbledore made his mistakes, and that's what makes him a relatable character. But I think that overall, he did set him up very well for success.
I mean, everything
So-
he did was to help Harry and
Yeah,
push Harry
over the
along.
course
Seventh
of the
book,
entire
where they have no
yeah,
idea
over
what
the
they're
course
doing.
of the entire seventh
Success.
book, they had no idea what they were doing. But Dumbledore had set up an entire trail of things for them to figure out.
And not just that, but
And that's what
before
they
in the
kept
other
figuring out.
books, he helped
Keywords
to
figure
teach
out.
them and plant things in their mind that help them then find things.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
The seventh book.
Dumbledore had a master plan that he crafted and
Did he?
put all into place before he even died, and it all worked out in the seventh book the way he planned it.
So that Harry could also learn from it too, and not just have someone do it all for him.
Also because he's a coward. I think he
What-
actually
huh?
admits that in the seventh book. Doesn't he admit that in the seventh book?
Oh, again, Dumbledore admitting his failures.
Okay. Well, Tanner, I think you can respond to what Matthew said.
No, he still has a point. Yeah, you interrupted.
The last thing I want to point out is quoting Cooper. most people would rather have their kids in Gandalf's company than Dumbledore's company.
Yes.
You just threw that in the middle to make it sound compelling. It is compelling, but it's not relevant, and it's not an actual fact. You don't have any stat to prove that. You just said most people and threw everybody in as if you know most people.
Look what happens under Dumbledore's watch. How many people get injured or die
under
Dumbledore's watch?
Let's clarify this. Let's clarify this right now. Dumbledore runs a school that serves thousands of kids per year, and Gandalf meets maybe 2 kids over the course of all the books. I don't know where you got the idea of kids, but thousands of parents send their kids to Dumbledore every year.
Which everybody is shocked why.
What?
Huh?
No, because he's a great headmaster. People wanted him to be the minister of magic, but he stepped down from that because he believed he wouldn't be doing a good job. In humility, he took a lower role and did his best to train up kids.
Yeah. And like Gandalf, most of the time, whenever you meet him in the beginning of the book, it's like, hey,
all I'm saying is that Cooper. Right.
Yeah,
all I'm saying is that Cooper made up this random stat about most parents and most kids, and it's totally invalid, not only because he doesn't actually have a source to back that up, he just said it, but also because Dumbledore literally runs a school, and kids go there, and Gandalf is not in interaction with any...
This is from Tor.com, a famous a fantasy book publisher. An article, they said, why do parents send their children here, meaning Hogwarts? It's madness. Like, the most dangerous sport in the world is played irregularly. A forest containing murderous species. Anyway, I think my argument still stands. But Tanner, you can go now. Keep it quiet. Speak your mind.
Yes, I'm ready. I've been thinking. I'm not going to be silent. But I have
just like the Jasmine from New Aladdin. I'm sorry.
I started singing that song in my head.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my.
Anyways, Matthew's entire argument is based off of the fact that Dumbledore is a better character and, frankly, more powerful is his entire basis for his argument. So I have 2 things.
You're wrong.
No, I don't. That's not what I'm going to say. I actually have sources to back up my statements.
Bro, what?
For the record, yes, I do. First of all, Gandalf is a part of the Istar, okay? They are gods that have descended from heaven in order to go and protect Middle-earth from, destruction from Sauron, first of all.
More like angels, but yes.
Yep. Gods. That's what, everybody calls...
Yeah, fair.
They're gods.
Okay.
Let's just be
wizards.
real. So, arguably, they're Istar, which can be translated to wizard, yes. But his entire power structure is there's no bounds to what he could do. Just about anything that he could do, he can do. When he died fighting the Balrog, he was able to come back because he was an angel and a god. The guy can't.
What are you even talking about?
What?
You're just making stuff up.
No, that part is actually true. But
everything I just said is true and can be validated using books and other sources.
Okay.
Don't trust me? Trust the listeners.
What?
Go pick up the Fellowship of the Ring and open up to the bridge at Khazad.
No, I know that fight. I'm saying that part's true. Where he dies and then comes back to life.
The Istar stuff is all. You can find all the Istar stuff
in Tolkien's universe. There's the god Eru Iluvatar, is the one god. Then you have the Valar, which are the sub little g gods, and then below the
I'm not doubting that.
Valar,
I'm just saying the fact that he's weaker. That you're saying that he's more powerful than Dumbledore. I just don't. Nah.
Okay, so I think the reason that you're saying that is because the Harry Potter universe is more concrete in terms of what you can and cannot do, whereas Tolkien's universe is more intentionally left open to kind of be more vague and have more wonder. But I think Gandalf is very powerful and is a little g god and has power over nature and stuff.
Hey, well, let's use what Cooper just said. He just described there's 2 universes, and they're both set up these ways. And you said that the Wizarding World of J.K. Rowling is more concrete, where Harry Potter is.
Okay, first, also, I think the conversation who's more powerful is a different conversation.
I thought that's what we were arguing.
I don't think that's
who's a better character and who's more powerful.
Because Matthew. Well, Matthew's argument. I think we can have the argument. I think that Matthew's argument is who is a better character, and I don't think that is predicated on who's more powerful.
I can hit that argument too.
Certainly part of it, though.
I thought the main reason why we were going to have this whole thing was who's more powerful and who's better.
No, you kidding me?
That's how the whole thing first started in the first episode.
I just want to say that out of the wizarding world of J.K. Rowling, Dumbledore is the most powerful person.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And out of the wizarding world of whatever his name is, Tolkien something, Gandalf is not the most powerful person. I'm just pointing that out.
I mean,
Correct. So Tolkien's universe, yeah, because Tolkien's universe has a god. I don't know if J.K. Rowling's universe does. Whoa.
Yes, and I'm about to hit that as well. So first of all,
okay.
Cooper's point.
Quote, Tanner's about to hit God.
I said I'm about to hit on that point.
Quote, Tanner's about to hit on God.
Okay, Tanner, make your point.
You
make your
don't
point.
catch me interrupting Matthew, but you catch Matthew interrupting me. That's how desperate he is.
what?
Oh man, this is like the first presidential debate. Okay, make your argument, Tanner.
Anyways, my argument is this. Matthew wants the best character. Matthew wants to have the best character in that position. He wants them to be relatable, and he wants them to tell me if I'm wrong. You want them to be relatable, you want them to make mistakes, you don't want them to be perfect. But here's my thing. I think that Matthew's entire idea of why Dumbledore is better is predicated on the fact that Dumbledore has he's wiser than everybody else in that universe. He's just saying that he makes more mistakes, and his argument is not entirely invalidated. Okay, he has made some relatively decent points, but the thing about Gandalf and what Cooper was making earlier in his his opening statement, is not the fact that people just can't straight out trust Dumbledore, but the fact that Gandalf is a wiser person. So Matthew is arguing that whenever you're reading a book, you're trying to read a book to go escape, and you're reading these fictional items to go and try and escape your world, and also just to have a fun story is what he's saying. Like,
if you're reading fiction, yeah. Other books are meant for teaching wisdom, like actual nonfiction books.
So you think fiction is You think fiction is completely excluded from teaching wisdom?
Not always, but I think as a general rule, the people who read fiction are not reading. I want to go read a book to learn more wisdom. I'm going to pick fiction. No, they're going to pick
I'm saying the side
a book from a
product.
pastor or something like that.
My point is, there's more benefits to reading about a character like Gandalf than there are to read about a character like Dumbledore. Think about it. If you're going to go through and pick out every single quote from each of the characters, who's going to have the better quotes every single time?
More wisdom in quotes.
More wisdom in their quotes. Gandalf. Who's going to help you not squander your life and keep yourself from going and throwing yourself off a cliff, right? There's a lot of really good quotes that come from Gandalf that Dumbledore just simply doesn't have. Not all that glitters is gold.
That's not wisdom. That's just a fact said in a fancy way, and it's really just a one-liner.
And what does Dumbledore say?
He says funny stuff. He says nice stuff. He says mean stuff when it's appropriate.
But nothing
He
wise.
says serious stuff.
He didn't say mean stuff when appropriate. I just gave you the most appropriate scene for mean stuff, and he did nothing.
You said what?
Huh?
I said I read quotes on the scene where his meanness was most needed, where he was meant to discipline and he failed.
Well, that's your opinion that his meanness was most needed. I think he should have been more mean to Voldemort, which he was, and he treated Voldemort the way that he should have been treated.
Okay, well,
I think
Tanner,
the point. I'm almost finished.
Okay.
I think the point that is trying to be made by the Gandalf side is that when you're reading, it shouldn't just be in order to enjoy yourself, right? Yes, you can read to enjoy yourself, and yes, fiction is meant to be a place where you can go and you can read about a fun story and enjoy yourself, right? But
why can't
why can't you have both? Why does it have to be only that? Matthew's entire argument is based off of the fact that he wants to only have one thing, and he thinks that the other is not necessary. And so because of that, I think that he's desperate in order to prove that Gandalf is not wise and that Dumbledore is merely relatable. And I think that it's pretty easy to find relatable characters in pretty crappy books.
Okay, two quick things. One, Cooper, I want you to answer this question. I want Cooper to answer
ahead.
this question. What is it that Dumbledore always says Harry has that no other, or he has that Voldemort doesn't has. He has this one thing over Voldemort. He has this hold over him. He has this magic beyond magic. What is that Dumbledore always says is the strongest form of magic? What is it that Dumbledore always claims is stronger than any magic?
Love. Twoo love.
Love.
Yeah.
That's not wrong. That's wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need
sure.
to say any
Follow
more
your
about
heart,
that.
kid. You have love. Congrats.
Now, Cooper, okay, you can try to make it sound like that if you want, but no, Dumbledore's being genuine. He's saying you have love in your heart, and that makes you so much of a stronger person, so much more of a faithful, more secure, more loyal. That
Yeah,
makes
and
you
what
a better
is-
person than just having magic, and that's a
What does
message
J.K.
that it's
Rowling mean when she says
that's
love?
a message that it's giving to all the kids that read it and all the adults that read it. Secondly, I was going to respond to whatever the last thing Tanner says, but I forgot what he said. What was the last thing he said? Oh yeah. I was just gonna name a couple of quotes. Not all who wander are lost. That's not
pretty
wisdom.
solid.
that is a one-liner.
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
it's a
It's not
solid
wisdom.
one-liner.
It's
It
not
looks
wisdom.
good on a bumper sticker. It's not wisdom. That's not from the book of Proverbs. That's just
Right,
a
I'm not-
fact.
I'm not
That's
saying-
anyone
I'm not
could
s-
anyone could think of that. Like
First, all that is still better than anything Dumbledore ever said. But secondly, he has other quotes that are wise. Like I mentioned some of mine. Do not
Like
be
what?
too eager to deal out death and judgment. I will not say do not weep, for not all tears are evil. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us.
okay,
Those
the
quotes
first two are
pure
good.
wisdom.
All that we have to do is decide what to do with the time they're giving us. That's kind of stupid.
No, it's not.
I've got more. It is not despair, for despair is only for those who see the
You
end.
see the end beyond all doubt. We do not. Yes, exactly. Look
Correct.
at that. Come on.
Like,
Goal.
seriously, I was talking aloud to myself. Like, it's just a bunch of amazing things about, like, Gandalf. Like, Gandalf, like, is a humble person, right? He's a humble wizard.
So is Dumbledore.
Hey, my point is not that Dumbledore is not. My point is that Gandalf is. Nothing I'm saying right now is Dumbledore is not.
Okay.
Everything I'm saying is Gandalf is. Okay? So Gandalf is a wise wizard. Gandalf is a kind and loving person who wants to save the world and do the best for all people. Same as Dumbledore. Okay? The similarities are where everybody is messing up right now. Like, no, y'all all think that I think that the problem that Matthew's having right now is that he thinks that everything we say is that Gandalf is, but Dumbledore is not. That's not necessarily true. Right? Like,
Yeah, it's not necessarily true. Like, I just think Gandalf is better. Yes, I don't think Dumbledore. Well, Tanner hasn't read all the way through Harry Potter, so I don't think he's seen how bad Dumbledore can really
Oh
be.
wow. Okay.
In my opinion, but okay. Well, negative side. Do you want to?
I would.
Should I wrap
I
up
would just-
our side first, or does it? You want to say
I
something?
would just like to say one thing on Tanner's point about how Gandalf is more powerful than Dumbledore.
Okay.
I'd like to point one thing. Gandalf, at least from what I caught and what I understood, was like scared of Sauron, but Voldemort was scared of Dumbledore.
What makes you? I mean, he's scared of evil. but
So the most powerful,
Wow, get this clown off of me!
like supposed to be a super powerful wizard in like Tolkien's world, was scared of the villain. But in Harry Potter, the most powerful,
Hey, guess what?
dark arts do whatever.
Guess what?
Was scared of Dumbledore.
I need to find this quote. Maybe I'll post this quote. But Dumbledore, yeah, you're right. It does say explicitly Voldemort was scared of Dumbledore. But guess what? Dumbledore stupidly died and left a little kid to face up to Voldemort. And guess
Because
what?
he
that
knew
kid was
Gandalf
the only
stood
one
up.
who
He
could
sacrificed
face
himself
him.
fighting
Cooper,
evil.
hey, Cooper,
kid was the only
let's
one
not
who
pretend
could
like you
face
don't
Voldemort.
understand how the Horcruxes work.
Yeah, what?
Because you knew that if
Harry
Dumbledore
had
killed
to
Voldemort,
die.
then he would have
Dumbledore
just been
forgot
alive
to
and
tell Harry. Dumbledore cowardly waited till he was dead
No.
to tell Harry he needed to die. That's a coward.
It wasn't
No, he
cowardly.
did it. He
Anyone
waited
who reads
till
the
the right
series
moment.
know that he did that on purpose.
He did it. He
No,
waited
I know.
till
That's
the
what I'm saying.
correct
He's on
moment.
purposely a coward.
You're,
No, he
you're
didn't.
taking
Yeah, he
that
did.
as cowardly. I could take anything Gandalf did as cowardly. Instead of just
Take an
handling the
example. Find an
situation.
example.
Hey, okay. The whole story of The Hobbit. You're saying that Tanner says that Gandalf is some magic angel dude who can do whatever he wants and has unlimited power. Then why couldn't he just go beat the army and save the whole mountain without getting multiple people killed
Yeah,
and without dragging Frodo across the land?
And why doesn't
I-
God snap
It's
his
the same
fingers
thing.
and
He
end
made a little
suffering?
kid do it.
I have a quote from Gandalf to prove why he should not. True courage is knowing not when to take a life, but when to spare one.
But he still sent them there to take the lives.
Well, that's not. He was talking about something different. Yeah, well, here's the deal. Gandalf led the company to go kill the dragon because he knew the dragon could be used for evil. And he disappeared for a little while because he had to go defeat other evil that was going to take over the world. Ended up being Sauron.
Oh yeah, that vague other evil that's just
Yeah,
there.
he goes to defeat Sauron, kicks him out.
Mhm.
Okay, well, here, I'm going to make a 2-minute closing remark, uninterrupted by comments, and then I'll hand it over to you guys. You can do the same thing, 2 minutes uninterrupted, okay? Sound good?
Sure.
Okay, 2 minutes, here we go. So I think what this debate comes down to is, who are these characters? What were they designed to be? And does one uphold that better than the other? So I think that's kind of Matthew's argument is Dumbledore is a better character. Okay, so I get into my first speech. I think this debate is about who's the better mentor, better leader, who's more wise, because each character is designed to be the wise mentor. Matthew tried to say, well, making more mistakes makes them more relatable. Well, sure, and a protagonist, sure. These characters are not the protagonist. They're not supposed to be the ones you can relate to. They're supposed to be the wise mentor who instructs the protagonist. I think ultimately we can see when we apply that standard, which I think is fair. I think that's what Rowling meant Dumbledore to be, the wise mentor, and likewise for Gandalf. I think we can clearly see that Gandalf is better than Dumbledore. I think he upholds this because, as I said, he disciplines when necessary. And Dumbledore fails that absolutely. In the moment where he needed discipline, he failed completely, a moral failing. But then Gandalf disciplines when necessary, encourages when necessary, and is loving at all times, even when he's disciplining. And also, I think he's a better leader. He actually, instead of being a coward, sacrifices himself for evil, leads, gives knowledge at all times, except Dumbledore arbitrarily withholds knowledge, whereas Gandalf freely gives it in wise counsel. And I think that ultimately Gandalf is just way more wise. He says more wise things. He instructs in a wise manner. And Dumbledore is a coward who ultimately is not wise and disciplined, does not give very wise counsel to Harry Potter. I think, as we said earlier, Gandalf is the one who parents would rather have their kids under. He is the wiser character, the wiser mentor, whereas Dumbledore is not. So I think we can see that Gandalf is wiser, he's a better mentor, he's a better leader, and ultimately because of that, he upholds the better character standard because that is who he is meant to be. He is meant to be the wise standard, the wise mentor, and he upholds that standard way better than Dumbledore does. All right, that was my 2-minute statement. So, negative side, Matthew, Isaiah, your 2 minutes.
Matthew, go ahead.
Okay, again, the kids thing and parents thing, totally invalid because Dumbledore runs a school where parents send the kids. I don't know how you're still arguing that. Because you found some random online thing? Okay, cool. As far as everything else, you just repeated your same old points that I disproved. I don't have too much to say again. People can go back and listen. Like, you're taking relatable and separating it from real. And you're saying because they're not protagonists, that means they shouldn't be relatable at all.
I'm saying they. Okay,
and
sorry,
I think
I can interrupt. I apologize.
Excuse me.
I apologize. Say some. Use the moderator. Mute me, please.
We need a judge for real. I guess the audience is the judge. You guys
sure,
comment
please.
and whatever. Okay. Anyways, but what I'm trying to say is that even if you don't think his purpose is to be a relatable character because he's not the main character, he's kind of a side character. He's still a more realistic character. And that goes unchanged because of the way that he fails and he admits his failures. And that makes him a good person and a good character. And a relatable and real character. And that makes him have so much more depth than somebody who's just always perfect and always has fancy one-liners and disappears to go take care of some magic stuff, but he couldn't stay and help and they get in all this trouble and people die. And he says he needs to know when to spare a life, but he also lets a lot of lives go unspared because he's doing his fancy magic stuff that he tells nobody about. You were saying he openly shares knowledge, shares wisdom, and Dumbledore's secretive. Yeah, Gandalf was pretty secretive about what he was doing. He didn't tell them. They asked him at one point, I'm pretty sure. He was like, stuff. And I don't quote me on that. This sounds about right. Man's just like, I don't know. He's just not as good and he's just not as powerful. And I just think when I hear stories about powerful people, it's encouraging and it just makes for a really good story. And it makes it's really cool to see powerful people do powerful things in stories, whether that's books or movies or whatever. And it's crazy just to see the magic that Dumbledore does. It made for really good films because they were able to add that in with their technology and stuff like that, and it just overall makes a better story, and he's a character that contributes to that story.
Okay, one thing. I'm not contending that Gandalf is A, perfect, and B, that because Dumbledore is imperfect, that makes him a bad character. I think Gandalf actually makes mistakes, and I think Dumbledore does too. And I think both of those actually do add to the realisticness of the character. My contention is that Dumbledore does things that in the book are supposed to be portrayed as good moral things, and I think actually those things are immoral. Like the failure to discipline Harry is presented as a good thing, that's a bad thing, and also his cowardliness in the handling of defeating Voldemort, I think is a bad thing, even though it's presented as a good thing. That's my contention.
Well, again, you list one example of when he fell
Two.
short of discipline.
Okay,
And you've
yeah.
listed that one example the
Well, I
entire
think
time.
ultimately the failure, it's a revelation of the fact that
We're talking
Dumbledore,
about over the course of 7 years.
First, okay,
are
here,
the-
I'll
that
point you to a
takes place in these
conversation.
books.
I think Harry sees this later between Snape and Dumbledore, where Dumbledore tells Snape, "I didn't want to discipline him at all the entire time because I feel like he'd already endured too much." So he admits that throughout the entire time, even and this is just revealed in this scene in Book 5, throughout the entire series, he's failing to discipline Harry. He's saying it. He said it himself. Okay. Anyway.
He admitted his mistake.
Yeah, and then he said he was right in Book 5, which is wrong. So, okay,
What? When did you say that?
I'm saying he was right to not discipline.
You just made that part up.
He's right to not discipline. He said because it's his fault. That's what
No,
he
he
said.
didn't. He didn't. No, he didn't use that as a justification. He said it's wrong that I did that, but I did it because I loved you too much. I didn't want you to go through this pain. And he's saying that was wrong, and I'm telling you it
Okay,
was
so-
my fault because it's wrong. He's not saying
Yeah.
it's his fault because he's right. That doesn't make any
No,
sense.
all I'm trying to say is that Rowling presents things that Dumbledore.
You're just trying
No,
to
I'm
twist
not.
it.
I'm not.
Yes.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. Okay. Well, anyway, the listener can decide who won or who they. I mean, I think everybody's biased. Sorry, I wasn't going to convert. Neither was Tanner, nor was Isaiah or Matthew, and likely
No.
we convinced nobody. But hey, it was a ton of fun. We're all not friends, but that's okay because it was fun. Okay, so last time for episode 50, our celebration, we sang "You've Got a Friend in Me," doing donor shoutouts. However, because it's episode 100 and we're looking back over good times remembered, I argue that we should do Old Lang Syne while doing donor shoutouts. Does that sound good?
I don't even know that song.
It's the song that's singing at the end of "It's a Wonderful Life." Should old
I know the song, I just
acquaintance
don't
be
know how to sing it.
forgot?
I just don't know
We'll
the
look it up.
words.
Tanner's
Like,
on
I
the
like
computer, right?
song.
Do you want me to do a thing as
No.
last time
We
too,
don't
where
need
I
to
just
sing.
like randomly say a name?
No. We don't.
Yeah,
need
we
to
do.
sing. No.
All right, I'm gonna sing then. Fine. Come on, Matthew, join.
I think we should rap it.
Why?
I don't know. Okay, Cooper will sing for you guys.
Okay, hang on.
Cooper and
I'm
Tanner.
pulling it up. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind?
Nana and Van Peppy and Willow.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne?
My grandparents.
For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne.
My parents.
We'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne.
Anna and Emily.
For old lang syne.
Becky and Lizzie.
For old lang syne.
And Keenan.
We'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. Are we done?
That was probably some of the better singing Cooper's ever done.
Is that a compliment or an insult? Probably both. Is that it? Isaiah, are we done?
That was all of them, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, okay, by the way, Matthew, tell us where you're going to college. We're saying goodbye because you're going to college.
Oh yeah. Bye everybody.
Bye.
I'm going to University of Texas at Tyler. I don't know why I just announced my new place of residence to a microphone, but yeah, don't pull up.
Hey, he's working at Sky Ranch too,
Just
so
kidding.
if you want to go to Sky Ranch in Tyler,
Yes.
Texas, you can pull up there.
Yeah, actually, if you ever are at Sky Ranch on a weekend and you're hearing this, look around for Matthew. I work activities.
He's bronze and he's got a
Um,
beautiful bust. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, one final thing before we leave. I guess, what's been your favorite discussion that we've had over the past 100 episodes? Just looking back here, I really like a lot of stuff we've done. Honestly, I really do. But I don't know.
The bronze bow.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the Bronze Bow or To Kill a Mockingbird was still the discussions in there made it one of my favorite episodes that we've done. So
Yeah, probably To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, guys, the other day, like 2 nights ago, I saw the play To Kill a Mockingbird that was adapted by Aaron Sorkin live. It's pretty good. Pretty good play. Shockingly, because
nice.
it's a great book already. So, all right. Well, that about wraps it up. Thank you, Matthew, for participating in this enlightening discussion and debate. It was a ton of fun. And I'm glad we finally.
Yeah, thank you for coming on here and openly being wrong.
Yeah, likewise. Anyway, I'm glad to be able to close this circle, gone full loop since episode 1, the famous debate at the end of that episode. So I'm glad. Okay, for Old Lang Syne people, we'll see you in the summer, hopefully with something, and if not, we'll see you next semester with an epic series on old ancient literature. So until next time.
Keep
on
booking it. Isaiah!